So confidence isn't necessarily like, oh, they're so confident they couldn't be lying to me. No, they probably are. That level of confidence is almost a red flag. So just because somebody seems legit doesn't mean you don't do your research. Well, hello, and welcome back to another episode of Chicks in Construction. I'm your host, Mickey Paradise, and this is my illustrious co-host.
Hi, I'm Jessica Abreu.
And listen, we're here today, like we are every episode, to help you not get screwed over by shady contractors by sharing your stories that you write in. Now, sometimes we have a story for you, and sometimes we find one on the interwebs, on the intranets, as one does. And that's what we're doing today. Mm-hmm. I will say, I do like the internet stories because frequently they do lead to someone being arrested. And I'm not going to lie, I'm hungry for justice. After all of the stories that you guys submit where it ends with, and the lawyer said it wasn't worth us suing over. Terrible. I do love a story where street justice turned into real justice and they be living in a prison cell with 3 hots and a cot. That does do the soul. Yeah. It does wonders for the soul.
Sometimes I feel like they don't even deserve the 3 hots. I mean,
no, like just cot. Like how about one cold and then fight to the death over. No, that's not right, but sorry about that. I heard it when it came out of my mouth. This isn't the Hunger Games ish. We're not there yet. We're on our way, but we're not there yet. How dare I? Yeah, no, but I also, on the flip side of that, think frequently about, would it be easier to just go to jail? Like, some days I'm just like, I'm not sure if I'm really cut for this like straight and narrow nonsense of like the legality of all of it. Some days I just want to be a criminal. I'm not going to lie.
Nope, not me. I'm like,
just as not ever. She has kids. She's got a reason to live. Me, that's questionable.
I mean, you have dogs.
I do.
You have the dogs.
But I frequently also look at my dogs and think, when I die, I want to come back as you. But with my luck, I would die and come back as a dog that like
is living on the streets.
Living like a street dog, like hustling to survive. And I would be in my little dog body going, wait. I would be in a Sarah McLachlan commercial. And I wouldn't get compensated for my image and likeness on that commercial. And I'd still be on the streets. But this time in the arms of an angel. Yeah, it's like, I'm just like, nah, Mick, you should just stick with what you got going here because it's as good as it's going to get. Let's just be real.
It'll be fine.
Yeah, I was, just so you guys know, I was late today to recording because my delightful husband, Hector, listen, he's a man. So communication is limited. I'm not going to lie.
We're still on communication 101.
100%. So I sometimes make the assumption that Hector is being quiet because he has nothing to say. Sometimes that's right. Sometimes that's wrong. So this morning he's like, hey, you're not, what are you doing? Now, despite the fact that literally last night, he asked me what's my day going to be next for tomorrow, and which I think is delightful because I'm like, oh, yeah, he cares.
You care.
But was he listening? I'm not sure, guys, because I give him the rundown of my insane day today and all the things that have to get done, and it's pretty wild in these streets. So as I'm like hustling to get all the things to get out the door to get here, he goes, oh, what are you doing? What do you think? I'm panicking because I'm late. Oh, well, I need you to put this purchase order in. So the funny part about this is I literally pay an obscene amount of money every month for us to have this purchase order software on your phone. So you can do it yourself. So specifically,
he could just
100%
go ahead in and do it?
He could, if he bothered to ever learn how to use it. Ever. And this is my life.
I feel like Hector's going to be given a tutorial on how to do this so that you don't end up late all the time.
I don't know. I feel like this is just the story of my life. I'm going to spend money on expensive software so that my guys, including Hector, will actually step into this current century and use technology. And it was so funny. I was talking to a friend of mine who owns an HVAC company, and I was telling him about this, and he was like, you know what's funny? The other day I was yelling at my guys because they won't use our software. And they're oh, we don't know how to we don't use technology.
Oh my God, no.
And he goes, but I saw you scrolling on TikTok. I see you scrolling on the talk.
Mm-hmm.
So if you can use TikTok, you can use this app.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I just looked at Hector and I made like real dead eye contact, like, got you. Just real uncomfortable, direct eye contact.
And you just stay quiet.
Right. Make it weird and hold it for a real long time. So I just did that. And he does this nervous giggle. And it's a quality nervous giggle. Like it's like, and he's like looking around like, is she going to come across the table?
Are there witnesses? There's people here, right?
Are the cameras on? Because I might come for you. So, yeah, that was just the dream. So I was late, guys, because I had to turn that purchase order. And I was like, well, what happens if we don't turn it in right now? Well, we're probably not going to be able to bill for any of this stuff for another 30 days. Oh, okay. So you're waiting until the moment it needs to be submitted to let me know that something needs to be ordered.
Not Friday.
Not Friday.
Not Saturday. Not Sunday.
No. Just I'm just over here living the dream. I will say this is why technology and construction is part of why it's so far behind, is that it's just so hard to get your employees, in this case, the vice president of my company / husband, to just use technology. Like it's the struggle is real. And that is why, in many reasons, why construction is so slow to adopt technology, which is why whenever we have a story that involves technology and construction, I'm like, oh, strap in, because it's about to get good. Tech people use technology, and then they get these like wild ideas about how this was such to be so useful in construction. And there's just a part of me that laughs a little bit because I'm like, oh, you don't know. You don't know.
No.
I will say
maybe the youngins. The youngins coming up with they had these their whole life.
The problem with that is the youngins don't be growing up wanting to be a plumber, sadly. They're especially drywall. Like there's money in plumbing. Listen. The brown gold is real. It is real. I have three nephews now that are plumbers. It is like they just like graduated high school a couple years ago, all own their own homes, have like multiple vehicles, have like recreational. They be making the brown gold type of money. I'm here for it. But the average range of like people going into like people in the trades are retirement age.
Yeah.
It's wild in these streets. I'm like, when these dudes retire, we are up a creek without a single solid paddle.
Yeah. Well, anybody that wants to get into the trades now, like you will be able to like ride off into the sunset with like a ton of money because there's not going to be anybody to do anything.
No. And it's like, so I was talking to somebody the other day and they were like in a full blown mental panic about AI taking their job. And I was like, I'm going to say something to you that's probably not going to help, but I'm going to say it anyway. Go into the trades. Mm-hmm. And she was like, I have a career. And I was like, you have a career that doesn't exist in 5 years. You know what will? Plumbing, electrical, HVAC. Robots aren't taking these jobs. I don't care. I don't know if you've seen the robot that hangs drywall. He's like, he grabs the drywall and it's like,
and 9 years
my
later,
guy's hung 9 sheets of drywall while this guy's he's just, and like, I guess you could have 1,500 of them for like $1 million a pop, but I don't think the ROI is there.
No.
So
get into the trades.
I can't stress this enough, y'all. Get into the trades, but
get a license.
Do it. Can we not just wake up one day and decide we're a plumber? Like, let's wake up one day and be like, I'm interested in plumbing. Let me go find a plumber. Let me see if I can do an apprenticeship. Let me start at the bottom and work my way up.
That's how you do it.
That's how that.
It's going to take a little bit of time. So start now.
For reals, though, please do. I also saw this thing from Carolina Forward, which I love them because they're always like keeping you posted on like what's happening in the state. And they came out and were like trash talking like trade education so hard. And I was like, Excuse me. How dare you? They were like saying we don't need to be spending tax dollars to teach like kids wood shop or like trade like I'm like, I'm sorry, have you not read anything about what's happening in the whole United States? Apparently not. So they're Carolina forward sometimes. Sometimes
and the rest of the time
they're a little backwards. I was like, okay, do better. I also had like a little mini comment feud with the guy because he was talking about something related to drywall and it was so inaccurate. I was like, no, absolutely not. So what I will give him props for is after we had our little exchange, he went and researched it and came back into the comments and was like, hey, by the way, I researched it and I see that you're right. And I was like, cool. Thank you. Maybe this is an idea because, since you have like 1 million followers, maybe research it before you post it. Who am I, though? Don't let me tell you how to have a good time.
See, researching things beforehand is so important. Facts, licenses.
Not alternate facts, or what is it, alternative facts? Just real facts.
Real facts.
Facts straight off of the fax machine.
Not fake news.
No, not fake news, guys. Real facts is really, it's what we're trying to bring you. That's why we did some research. I will tell you, we have
a wild story.
We do have a wild story. It is... I feel like they're starting to merge in my brain all together as just like one massive homeowner horror story. Cause I was going through it and I was like, wait, is this the one where this happened? And it was like, oh no, this happened. It's just like, oh my God.
Right.
It's
and
insane.
I read them. I was like, didn't we say this already?
No.
But we didn't. So you guys got to listen to this.
I will say that if you've watched multiple episodes, which I hope you do, and I hope you enjoy them, some of them start to feel really repetitive. Unfortunately, it's because nobody's talking about these scams. Nobody's talking about like actively, openly, consistently all the time about the things that are happening to homeowners. And so contractors are just getting away with this. And it's one of those things where if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So if nobody knows how to combat some of these shady contractor tactics, they just keep using them, which is why in some of the comments, like not so much on YouTube, but on our Instagram, it's been getting spicy up in there because the contractors see us calling out their shady shenanigans and they get mad. They get big mad. So listen, check us out on Instagram if you want to see these spicy comments. And
at Chicks and Construction Podcast.
Yes, please. That's Instagram. And then TikTok is just at Chicks and Construction. When you see these people comment, you'll know. Just look them up, see what town they're in, and just realize, okay, this is a person I need to avoid ever doing business with. We be making the shady ones real spicy mad, which, listen, it brings joy to my soul.
It does.
I hope I'm making you mad if you're out here screwing people over. And I think the worst part is the people that are screwing people over and have convinced themselves that they're doing everything right and everybody else is the problem. Like, I appreciate a little, I'm a scammer and I know it moment. Just like somebody who's like, yeah, I'm out here on these streets breaking the law. What are you going to do? I appreciate that more than the Rachel Paradises of the world that will just gaslight the shit out of you. And you're over here thinking, wait, did I do this? Am I the problem? No, you're not. I think those are the worst ones. And it's what we see more than not is people not taking responsibility for anything that they've done, for any of their behavior, just lying. And they have now started to believe their own lies. So unfortunately, that's part of the story.
That's where we're going, people.
We're trying to lead you to it. So let's get started. We have a script. We've been working. Jess laughs because I'm doing the scripts. Watch out.
It's hysterical.
So we start. It's a slow and controlled tone. That's in the script. Just want you guys to know. I did not put that in there, but I did get some assistance from the internets. So what would you do in your slow and controlled tone if the contractor you hired to build your home had great reviews, multiple company names, and even references you could call, but none of it was real? Dun, 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 dun. Oh my God. We didn't even practice that. That's
We're
amazing.
Sharing a brain.
Connected. Watch yourselves.
That's all downhill from here.
I know. That was the best it's going to get, you guys. I'm sorry in advance. Because for more than a dozen homeowners in upstate New York, that's exactly what happened. They trusted a contractor, paid tens of thousands of dollars, and watched as their project either stalled, collapsed, or were never built at all. And while they were losing their savings, the people they trusted were spending that money on, wait for it, casino trips, luxury cars, and a lifestyle that had nothing at all to do with construction. I think I also read in one of the reports that some of the money was spent on a monster truck. I'm like, what? Like, you mean a truck with big tires? No, a literal monster truck. And I was like, that tracks.
That's crazy. So welcome back to Chicks in Construction, where we tell real construction horror stories so you don't end up living one.
Facts. I guess we can go through the whole script and just see how this goes. Just for funsies. Let's try it. So I'm Mickey. I've been in construction for over 20 years.
And I'm Jess. I'm asking the questions homeowners wish they asked sooner.
Which honestly is a very clutch point in this podcast. Mm-hmm. And today's story, this is not just bad construction. It's straight up fraud. You want to start this next phase? It doesn't have a name on it.
It doesn't, so we don't know. Sorry, we just look at each other like, you want to do it? I want to do it. We're doing the best we can. Don't come for us.
Or do. As long as it's spicy. Make it good.
Make it a good one. So between 2019 and 2023, a couple in upstate New York built what looked like a legitimate construction business. They offered excavation, home building, site work, and renovations.
Those are such wild degrees of like, wait, okay, you go from excavation to home building?
Because excavation is like...
It's like clearing the land. It's called land work. Yeah. It's like when you buy a lot that has all the trees on it, you hire an excavation company because they'll come in, they'll take down the trees, they'll clear the land.
They're not the ones that then go and build your house.
Absolutely not. And it's the same thing with site work. That's basically what excavation is site work. Site work and renovations, that goes together like wine and whiskey. Absolutely not.
What's wrong with wine and whiskey?
Together? You're going to mix a little wine and whiskey?
Oh, no.
I've never tried it, but it seems like a bad time.
I thought like you would have some wine and then have some whiskey.
Done home renovations and site work. I've never done those together either.
Like, no. I was just confused. I was like, why would you want somebody building your house or renovating your house that is going to go out and clear the trees and dig a hole? Like,
I mean, just to skip to the end, like, because they weren't
doing
home builders.
They don't belong doing any of that.
They ended up in jail. That's how. So,
spoiler alert.
Yeah.
So they advertised online. They had contracts. They had references. They took on project after project. But behind the scenes, prosecutors say this wasn't a construction business. It was a scheme to defraud homeowners out of more than $1.5 million.
Y'all, I can't. I mean, this compared to some of the other stories where it was like $5 and $6 million. I'm like, well, that's less, but I'm just like, 1.5,
so much money.
Of like the thing I think is important for like everybody to remember is this is $1.5 million of like hardworking everyday people's monies. It's not like they're getting 1.5 mil out of Jeff Bezos, who just probably wipes his butt with $1 million bill and he's like, put it in the trash. No, that's not who they're scamming $1.5 million out of. They're scamming out of teachers and seniors and people who are save up to do these renovations and to hire people for this work, which drives me nuts. So here's what would happen. They would get hired for a job. Then they would request a large upfront deposit. Listen, that is bold and underlined in the script for a reason. Once they got the money, everything would start to fall apart. Sometimes the work never started. Other times the job would begin and then be abandoned. And in some cases, the work was so poorly done, it had to be completely redone.
So no matter what, the homeowner lost.
Exactly. And when homeowners asked for refunds, they were refused. They were refused. I'm like, listen, I'm going to come get it. either in cash payments or blood donations. Your choice. I'm gonna get that plasma one way or another, sir. But then again,
so
I'm feral.
Okay. Yeah. Wait. I want to get back to something. You mentioned they had multiple company names.
Yes. So
big red flag.
Huge red flag
flying around.
And I we have talked about this so many times, and I want to be really clear about it. This is not a sign of a growing business. I think we talked about this in the last podcast where it was kind of like perceived as like, oh, if they have multiple businesses, it's because they're doing really well. No, I mean, as we've discussed, I have multiple businesses in different industries, consulting, the podcast, my drywall and paint company. We have multiple companies. But it's not, I don't have 4 different drywall companies. That is a red flag. I don't have 4 different company names that are all trying to do the same thing. That's not a growing company. That's a company that is evading bills that have not been paid. It's just a one way of like, it's a form of bankruptcy.
Yeah. You bankrupt one company so you don't have to pay.
Yeah. And so
Shady.
they operated under several different names, including McLaurin Sons Construction, McLaurin Son Excavation, JM Excavation and Demolition, JM Construction. The slight variations of the names is honestly a huge red flag. That is somebody who they don't want to spend the money to redo their branding. So but they can't operate under this name anymore because either they have judgments against them or there's so many bad reviews online about them. But so they just tweak the company name so it's a little bit different, but they can still use all of their marketing and stuff. Because listen, they put time into that and your money into that marketing. So they got to make it work.
Yep. So it's the same company. It's not really rebranding.
Right.
It's just so they'll burn one name
exactly.
And then they pop up with a different one and it's like, oh, look at us.
Yeah.
We're so great.
And it's because they do bad work. They leave jobs unfinished. The reviews start showing up. Reputation drops. And instead of fixing it, they just change the name and keep going, which makes me crazy. So if you see a contractor with multiple business names with slight variations of the same name and no clear business history, that is not normal and it's a problem. And we've talked about this a lot. That's definitely something important when you're looking at hiring people, searching through the Secretary of State for whatever state you're in, the owner's name. And I think this is another thing where it could potentially give you some information. If somebody gives you a company name and they give you their name and they say they're the owner, but then you look up their name and there's no company associated with it, red flag, because either they don't have a registered company or whatever company name they gave you, it's not theirs. And so that's a big thing, especially if, somebody's trying to build trust with you because they're going to renovate your home
or build a home.
I mean, you want them to be telling you the truth from the get-go. And this is where checking these things is really important. So how to protect yourself is don't trust the company, search the person's name, Secretary of State records, Google, and court filings. And so one thing that I realized, you can use, I don't know about ChatGPT, but I've been trying to use Claude a little bit more, and Claude will search court filings for you.
Nice.
So if you were to go on, AI and say, hey, check the court filings for this name and variations of this name or this company name and variations of this company name, it pulled up a ton of research for one of the podcasts that we have coming up. And I was like, wow, that is a time saver. So because a lot of people freak out because they're like, how am I supposed to check that? Just at Claude.
Claude's like, I is going to save you so much time. And now you also said that they had fake references. So what happened there?
Okay, so I've talked about this a couple of times. And I think like in this story specifically, it's where fraud becomes intentional deception. When homeowners ask, can I ask to speak to some of your past clients? And I have just known in my soul that this is something that a shady contractor would do. And so it's why I've kind of talked several times about how referrals are great, but again, nobody's going to give you the name of somebody they had a bad experience with. They're not going to give you the name of somebody who is unhappy with the work that you did. Like, they're going to give you the best job they ever did and the people that are so happy. And a lot of things could have changed from that point to that. So in this case, they were given a reference to somebody who sounded real, somebody who assured them that they did great work, but this person wasn't a client. It was his wife. Like, oh, Oh, it's funny when you like say something like, I bet people do this. And then you get a story and that's exactly what people do. You're like, I'm a psychic. I just want you guys all to know.
I mean, and they could have, I mean, this person used their wife, but like, I'm sure there's people that have used their brother, their nephew, their cousin, their uncle, their aunt, their best friend. Like, you don't know how they're related to them or if they actually did. And like, there's not really a way to check that either.
Exactly. And that's the thing. There's references are a really hard one to go by because like I just said, nobody's going to give you the name of somebody who had a really terrible experience with them. They're only going to give you the best of the best. Like we know this contractor, and I use that word very loosely.
There's air quotes for those of you listening.
Who pretends to be a contractor, and this person could not give you a single reference of somebody that she actually did work with, because every single person that she's actually done work with no longer speaks to her. Like she's not allowed on their property anymore. It's that bad. So if you get, it's like, and I know that if this person gives another person a reference, it's going to be a friend. There's no way, because I've heard every single story she was involved with ended in, and then they told me never to come back. So it's like, oh, okay. So you're the whole problem. All right.
The whole problem.
So that is my biggest thing with references is it's just unrealistic. Like I think reviews are a better source. We all know that there's an occasional cray that will had really unrealistic expectations and left a crazy review because they didn't understand how construction works, and that maybe that general contractor didn't do a great job communicating with them. So you have to kind of take like reviews kind of with a grain of salt. But I will say, when there are multiple reviews and they all say the same thing, that's how you know, okay, these people, they're not a good company to work with. Nope. And that's why, I don't know, for anybody watching, it's really important to leave reviews, especially when you have a really good or a really bad experience, because the redundancy and the repeating of the same thing over and over again, when I see that, I'm like, okay, this is for real. But when I see like one person say something crazy, I'm like, all right, this is just somebody who had like unrealistic expectations. But like for the general contractor exam prep course that I'm currently suing because they just never sent the books out to the person who was taking it. Now I have to get the money back because this is my life. When I went to their Google page to leave a bad review, I went and it was like every single review was, I never got my books. I never got my books. I never got my books. They won't respond to me. And I was like, damn it, if I had just read the Google reviews.
If you had just done your research.
If I had literally done the thing that I'm just telling you guys to do right now. To be fair, I use them for mine.
Oh.
What I didn't know was the guy who taught my class, who owned it, retired. And he sold it to this guy, and the guy just ruined the entire thing. Like he completely destroyed everything this guy built, which was really sad because the dude was legit. Like the guy, his name was like Carl or something. And he knew all the things about all the things. It was so cool. He was great. So I got that experience. This other person got sorry, you're never getting your books and it's going to cost you $4,000.
Better luck next time.
Oh, so reviews matter. So, and I want to say this clearly. It's completely unfair that homeowners now have to question whether references are real. And I feel that in my soul. You should be able to trust that. But unfortunately, you can't assume that anymore. So how to verify real references? Ask for multiple references, not one, not two, at least 3 to 5. But again,
if you got a large family, like there's your 3 to 5.
I'm like, that's what I'm saying. I'm just like, I don't know that references are the hill that we want to die on. The one thing I will say is go to an active job site. So I would ask for an address. I would not tell them when I was going. And I would go to the active job site and I would look at the condition of the job site. I would look at the work that they're doing. I would try to talk to homeowners if they were available. Be like, hey, how's your experience going? So I think more than asking for references, the real move is I want the addresses of 2 or 3 jobs that you're on right now so that I can go look at them at whatever time I'm going to go look at them. And here's the thing is that they're gonna tell you all the reasons why they need to be there. No, If you can't give me the address and allow me to go view your work independently of you being there, then I don't want to work with you. And I know there's going to be general contractors that are going to be like, this is the worst advice you've ever said on this show. Here's the thing. Wear a freaking hard hat and some closed-toe shoes. But they need to be allowed to go onto these jobs and to see this work, because unfortunately so many people get screwed over by shady contractors that they need to have access to be able to go and see. And if you don't want to give that, I'm throwing a flag on the play.
Let's say if it was a renovation, are they going into someone else's house?
Let them go to the door
and peek in.
Yeah, be like, hey, I think, listen, if I was having a renovation in my home, whether it was going amazing or whether it was going badly, and they're trying to work with another person in the community, absolutely let them come to my door. When somebody came to my door, is like, hey, how's this renovation going? These people are bidding a project for me, and I'm just trying to get a feel for, if they're a good. I would be jubilant to be able to like tell you what the kind of experience that I'm having.
Right.
So I feel like that is, if you're going to hang your hat on a reference, that's the only reference that you should be like, you going out unprompted without the general contractor there, without them knowing when you're showing up, should be able to put your eyes on the job site, because that's where you can see, okay, do they clean up after themselves? Like, is the level of mess that they've left something I could be comfortable with? Is the homeowner happy with the work that they're doing? Does it look clean and tidy? Does it look like they take care of things? Or does it look like, a wrecking ball came through here? Like, some of my guys do. So the money is wild. It didn't go into building homes. Instead, investigators found that it was used for casino trips, luxury vehicles, paying the rent, and personal spending.
Love that for them.
I know. Like, casino trips. Cool.
More than a dozen homeowners were affected. The losses totaled over $1.5 million. Some victims lost over $80,000, had homes left unfinished, and had to start over with new contractors.
That's
I feel like all
insane.
of them would have had to start over with new contractors if they're not doing anything.
They all fell into that last category.
Yeah.
So this became a criminal case. Eventually, law enforcement stepped in. They were charged with grand larceny and the scheme to defraud. Both of them pled guilty. So just when I say both of them, the husband, who was the shady general contractor, and in this case, the wife, who be lying about being a client and pretending to be a reference, she went to jail too. So just if you're out there and you're thinking about schemes, just understand, my fair lady, now it might not be for as long as he's going, but you're going to do time.
Because you knew about it. You were actively helping him defraud the homeowners.
Yeah. It's freaking accessory after the fact. I don't even know what that means, but it sounds good.
So how did this all work? Like, how did they get so many homeowners?
Well, before we switch to that, know that John got sentenced to 5 to 15 years in prison, and his lovely wife got, I think she got 6 months in jail plus like 5 years probation. So she got off with like a lesser sentence.
I mean,
but like, listen. You in the clink for 6 months. You're thinking about your life choices real hard. So how did it happen?
On your permanent record, like
now you're
a criminal.
You're a felon. Okay, you should have to register. You should have to register when you're a construction felon.
When you go to apply for a job and it has that little box, like now you have to check. Yes.
Now everybody at Harris Teeter knows you were in the clink. So just asked how it happened.
Yes.
And the thing is, what everybody that got scammed over, what they said over and over again was that it looked really legitimate, that the contracts were really good, that they were really comprehensive. They had references, AKA his wife, and they had a business name. Now, I'm just going to go ahead and stop you right there. Having a business name we're not going to put that on the list of things that are legitimate.
No. Or a truck with their name on it.
No, in a truck, because they have labeling on their vehicle. Like, absolutely not. That's not what makes a company legitimate. And I know you're thinking, oh, who would think that's legit? You would be surprised. A lot of people are like, oh, well, they had business cards and they had a website and they had branding and
they looked good on social media,
right? And the thing is, like, to be fair, back in the day, scammers didn't go that far to scam people. Like they didn't have to put that much effort in. But now in the days of the internet, if you don't have a website, a lot of homeowners think that that's suspect. So if you're really committed to the scam and you're down for the fraud, you go through the extra steps of having, a logo made on some website. You go ahead and pay $50 to have a website thrown together for you. You take some time to make some social media posts because you know that that's what people are going to look at, and that will maximize how much money you can screw out of them. So I like, what's funny is in what we do, like in drywall specifically, there are so few companies in my arena that have websites and stuff that whenever people look up my company, they're like, oh, this is a huge operation. They have a website. And I'm like, I'm a millennial. That's just what we do. We just have websites because I grew up coding websites. So it's like, of course I'm going to put a little website together for my little drywall company.
It's not a little drywall company, but it was at one point.
It was a little baby, but now it's all grown up. And it's angry. Let me tell you. Drywall company is angry. All right, so we're going to go through the red flags. Do you want to start with the first one?
Sure. They had multiple business names.
Yep. We have talked about this.
Okay. This burn and reset pattern, we're not here for it.
I'm not going to lie. We've not come across a single story that had multiple business names that did not end in a scam or did not end in something going badly for the homeowner. So unfortunately, I'm sure there are some legitimate reasons why people do this.
Like if there was partners in a business and they split, and then they worked so hard to build up that name, then maybe there's a reason there. But I mean, that's
I've heard stories of people being like, because especially, and I don't know in every state, right? But in North Carolina, every year you have to file an annual report on the company that you have. So my drywall business is incorporated, my consulting business and the podcast, they're all LLCs. Doesn't matter whether it's an LLC or an incorporation. Every year you have to go into the Secretary of State and file and pay this fee.
Because they want their money.
Yeah, because they're like, cha-ching.
Yep.
We ain't giving you nothing but this piece of paper, but renew it every year or they will dissolve your company. And to be fair to people, you don't have to have a business or a business major to start a business. You just have to have an idea and a hope and a dream and $75 to pay for your LLC in North Carolina Secretary of State. But you might not know that this has to be renewed every year.
I don't know how you don't know, because I got like 19,000 emails.
19,000 emails.
Even after I did it,
yes.
I still got emails to remind me to do it. Emails. And I was like, oh my God, did I not do it?
Every year the same thing happens to me.
It's awful.
But I don't know. Let's just say, you're not great at checking your email. Let's say you're Hector and you're like, email? What's that? Okay.
Or you used a fake email address.
Or you used your burner email account. Like, you're not checking that. It happens. And it is really hard to get your company reinstated. And when I say hard, it's just a long process.
And money.
I don't even know if it's that much money. You pay a fee, whatever.
So somebody, that person that we know that has two very similar companies.
Was it a lot of money? Oh. Or maybe she's just broke.
Maybe. But it could be both. They told me that it cost more to reinstate than it did to just.
Yes, that is true. Because you have to pay a fee and then you have to pay the fee that you missed. So it's like a double fee.
It's a double thing.
So if you broke, it makes more sense. Which means
that your company's not doing good.
Right.
Which means that you're probably a shady contractor.
You see what I'm saying? You see how this? I'm trying to make it easier for people who've had a company dissolve. But at the end of the day, it's because one, they don't know what they're doing. Two, they don't have the money to fix what they did wrong. And three, that's a red flag. They don't have money and they don't know what they're doing. And that's something that you need to look out for. It's something that I learned along the way. But when I realized, okay, whoopsie, I didn't file that report, my company got dissolved, I just spent the money to reinstate my company because I was doing well and I could afford that. And it's not a flex, guys. Like if you don't have the $250 to reinstate your company, you probably shouldn't be doing construction jobs. But what do I know? I'm just a drywall contractor. The other one is large upfront. We're switching back to red flags.
Red flag.
Large upfront deposits. I will die on this hill. It took me a long time to come to a number that I'm like, this is the max amount of number I'm going to tell people to pay in deposits. And it is 20%. You will pay no more than 20% in a deposit. And if the general contractor says that's a deal breaker, walk, don't run. Because the only general contractors...
You mean run, don't walk.
Yes. But I said it so confidently.
I knew you did. I was like, wait a minute.
Run, don't walk. Or walk. Just go at your
walk.
pace, but do it quick, okay? Whatever that looks like for you. Because we've had general contractors on this show that said they will not take less than a 50% deposit. And I was immediately like, we should have interviewed you more strictly about coming on this show, because absolutely not. If they don't have the money to accept a 20% deposit, again, they're not doing well. 20% deposit for the very responsible contractors that we have had on the show, that was all they were asking. Every single one was at that 20% mark. So anything above 20% is a hard stop. It is an absolute no, because it shows that they do not have the money. And why do they need to collect that much money up front? Because they're going to pay somebody from another job, and they're using your money. They're robbing Peter to pay Paul. I don't know where that phrase come from, but I use it all the time. The Bible. Jesus said that. Jesus said, stop me robbing Peter to pay Paul.
I don't know if it was
John.
Jesus. And now we're going
I was going through my head of what are the other guys' names? Oh, John. He was one of them. There's a Luke in there. Okay. Yeah. Think of the whitest white dude names. John, Paul, Peter. There's a Matthew in there.
Oh my
God. Is there a Mark? Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Listen, it's been a while, guys. I like to talk about the JC, but I don't spend nearly as much time at church as I should.
So no progress after payment. So if a job stalls or they disappear, that is a red flag too. So if you're giving them a huge deposit and then they ain't showing up and doing any work, don't give them more money.
Yeah. And the last one is poor workmanship. And I think that it was so interesting. I was talking to somebody and they were telling me how they had their backsplash done, and they had the backsplash done, and they came back the next day and they had taken half of the backsplash down. And the guy was like, what are you doing? And he's like, oh, the grout lines didn't look right, so we're just fixing it. And I was like, let me get this straight. You didn't even have to say anything. They saw the tile and were not happy with it, and without even speaking to you or charging you. How many have we times talked about that? Without charging or saying it, they just took the tile down and redid it. And he was like, yeah, what is that unusual? And I was like, quite. 9 times out of 10.
I'm like, I want that guy's number.
Right. I was like, so did you get his, can I get his contact information? Because that is such a rare thing. Not only do people wait until you notice it, but then if you want it fixed, they're like, oh, well, it'll be $1,200 to fix it. Absolutely not. You didn't do it right. And listen, I'm not saying that we're going to be nitpicky, but it's your money. And if you're not happy with the product, then you need to speak up and you need to say something about it. And it should not cost you more money to make improper work look good. And so that is a huge, poor workmanship. Apparently, I was kind of doing, this story was a little tricky because there were a few references, but there wasn't as much about this. There was a couple talking points about it, but there wasn't real in-depth interviews with the victims in this case. So I was just tell me more about the poor workmanship. I couldn't find a bunch on it, but apparently there were people that said that the work was so bad that they literally just had to have it ripped out.
I'm sure that they didn't pass a single inspection.
I don't know that they
even got to that
applied for a single permit and had a single inspection.
Yeah. So. Because if they're not a general contractor, they can't apply for the permit. Yeah.
Exactly.
So probably that's a red flag too, people.
Indeed. Indeed.
I'm learning so much.
She is. She's going to be a GC one day. She's like, absolutely not.
Nope. Now, not unless, this doesn't take off, and then I'm going to have to
Right.
rethink my
If you
career
guys don't
choices.
like and subscribe, Jess is going to have to get her GC license.
Oh my God, could you imagine?
Yes, I think you'd be good.
I mean, I could probably do it.
She'd be great.
I'm
She's great. She should be great at it. She has so many side hustles. She just wrap it into her many, many jobs.
all my jobs.
So how do you protect yourself? We have this is why we're here. This is the meat of it. And obviously the step one is to verify licenses. So if your state, and here's the move, I think, right? Because I don't know if I told you about this. I was asked by the Home Builders Association to be on this panel for like seniors. And it was
Like senior citizens?
Senior citizens.
Okay.
It was so funny because it was for senior citizens, but there was this woman here and I mentioned it being for senior citizens and she goes, I am not a senior citizen. And I was like, okay, I don't know, ma'am. You're older than me and I feel
You
like
are
a
my
senior
senior.
citizen, but okay. But so I went and I was like, the only person on the panel that like really had this level of experience. And I kept just like saying all this stuff. And it was like, verify license. And they were like, how do we do that? And I'm like, I literally gave them the website. And I was like, but one thing that I realized when I was talking to all them is that I think the step one is to research what the laws are in your state. So there are plenty of states that don't have general contractor licenses. Like I say plenty of states. I just know of the one, which is Texas. It's wild in these streets. It's the Wild West out there. But researching, okay, is there a license required in my state? Oh, there is. What are the requirements for the license? What are the requirements for the type of project that you want to do? And just taking a little extra time to start off with that level of understanding. That way you're not playing catch up. So if you start there instead of like, start on Pinterest and starting on, Facebook and asking friends for references. If you start with, okay, I want to do this project. Do I need a licensed general contractor? What are the requirements? What triggers the need of somebody to have a license? So in North Carolina, if a project goes above $40,000, and that is total cost, not just cost of materials or cost of labor, total cost of the project. If it goes above $40,000, you need to have a general contractor. But needing to have a general contractor doesn't mean if it doesn't fit the general contractor criteria, that doesn't necessarily mean you don't need inspections. And a lot of tradespeople will try to tell you, oh no, you don't need to be a GC for this, so we don't need a license or we don't need an inspection. No, that's actually not how that works. And how you will know if somebody is giving you bad information is to know the right answer before you ask it. So if you say to somebody, do you have a license? And they say to you, oh no, I don't need to have one, but you've already done the research and you know they do, they just eliminated themselves. And that takes like the easy work. Because I think that the more the steps to protect yourself, the more we add on to them, they seem really overwhelming. So I think the first step is know what it requires in your state, in your town, in your local government. What are the rules? When do they kick in? What are the requirements for the specific project that you're trying to do?
And you're going to want to research, when you are looking up the license and stuff, you want to research the person, not the business.
Yeah. And you can do both, but like especially a huge red flag is if you research a company and then you go to see who owns it and the person who has sold you these services is not listed as the owner, that's a red flag. But so many times people are very confident. Like when they come to like sell you on their scam, like I'm like Bernie Madoff was very confident. And he screwed people out of bajillions of dollars. So confidence isn't necessarily like, oh, they're so confident they couldn't be lying to me. No, they probably are. That level of confidence is almost a red flag. So just because somebody seems legit doesn't mean you don't do your research. So searching that person, their name, also the company name, the together, and seeing like, is the mathing like that? Is it all coming together?
Yeah. Now, is it also a red flag? And I'm not sure, but I know that people can have a qualifier for their license. So when you look up the person's name,
I think it depends. Like, I know a bunch. Like one of our largest client is has multiple qualifiers. So,
Okay.
so depending on the company, like I know a company, a local GC here, and one of my really good friends is their qualifier. Now, you're never going to see her out on a job site. Like she's a designer. But she was qualified enough to go and pass her general contractor exam. And so she herself is the qualifier on that company. So I think it really depends. It does. In some cases, it signifies, okay, this person doesn't have enough experience to pass the test. But in some cases, it's like we have a bigger company, so we have multiple people qualifying it in case somebody leaves. Because like if my friend Kathy, who qualifies this general contractor company, and they're like award winning and they're doing the Lord's work out here. If she were to leave, they would immediately have to replace her, like get another qualifier. So they keep multiple people on staff that are qualifiers for their company.
Got it.
And like one of my general contractors, the owner of the company was the qualifier for many, many years. And then he was like retiring. So he was like, I'm gonna let somebody else qualify. Because like to be a licensed general contractor in North Carolina, you have to do continuing education. You have to renew the license every year. Like there's work that you have to do to get that done. And he was like, I'm on my way out the door. So he let somebody else qualify the company, the guy who was the project manager.
Okay.
So I think it's definitely something that you ask about. Like, hey, why is
like who is this person?
how have
that's
I
actually
never
qualifying?
met the person qualifying the company? And that is important. You want to know all the players in the game, because here's the thing. If that person who you're dealing with is not the qualifier on the license, it means that they're not the ones that are going to get held accountable. So if you're not happy with their work and you go and report them, and, you know, I don't know, you live in a state where the General Contracting Licensing Board actually punishes contractors. That's not really how it works here. But
we're getting there.
we're trying. I'm like, are we starting a lobbying group? We might. But those are that person who qualifies it. That's the person who may get in trouble. So you want to know who they are and at least like, hey, are like have their contact information. That one episode we did like a million years ago, the Builder of the Year one.
Yeah.
That happened where she was dealing with not the person who was actually on the license. And once she got the guy who was on the license involved, her entire experience changed. I actually saw her a couple weeks ago and I was like, hey, how did it all end? And she's like, oh, amazing. Like everything turned out really well because she stopped messing around with homeboy who his name wasn't on the license and started dealing with the guy who was going to get the heat. Yeah. And dude, it changed that whole situation around. So it does matter. And it's important for you guys to look into it. Oh, you guys. And I'm going to like, listen, I don't want to say that there's not degrees of difficulty here because on one sense, like how are you supposed to know how much things are supposed to cost? Like if somebody comes in and says, hey, you know, I'm billing 80% of the contract, but 50% of the work is done. I think that is an easier way to track payments. Like, that's how we kind of work when I bill. So it's a percentage of completion. So I say, okay, we've done this whole floor of drywall. It's a 4-story. Let's just joke and say it's $100,000 contract. It would be $1 million, but that's a lot of zeros. Okay.
Our math has to be easier.
And it's Monday, so we got to dumb down the math. So let's just say it's $100,000. So we got $25,000 per floor. So if I can only bill once a month, I bill until the end of that month. And it's 25%. And I think for a homeowner, working through it in percentages is the easiest way to track payments. So if you know you've still got drywall and paint and finishes and all these things left, and they're trying to bill you at 80% of the total completion of the job, that's a hard no. And I think completion, like percentages, is an easier way to track that. So that's how I because like, how are you guys supposed to know how much windows cost? Well, that's not your job to know how much windows cost. But if them billing the windows puts them at 80% and they're still in framing, absolutely not. So it's really about tracking it in like, okay, how much more has to happen until we're done? Does that number match with the number that they've billed? I think that's the easiest way. But you guys tell me, like, I'd really, as a homeowner, if you've experienced this and like tracking the billing, I would love to hear your experience because obviously we want to share as much as we can with everybody. But one of the ways that people get in the most trouble is they overpay
Right.
And then once they have the money, these guys got the money, they gone. You're not going to see him again. And that's how every single story where somebody paid in advance, or kind of, there was one story where the guy gave her the sad story about how this guy didn't pay her and he's got to pay his guys. Can you pay in full right now? And she did. And he never came back.
Nope. If someone cannot pay their guys,
right. That's a red flag.
Do not help them out.
No.
That is not your job.
No.
That is not your job at all.
And the other thing is never rushing decisions. And it was really interesting. I had something similar happen to me recently, and I thought to myself, oh, look at you trying to put like pressure on me and make me feel like if I don't make this decision right now, like I'm going to be in danger. And I was just, I thanks to the podcast, I was like, wait a second, how dare you? And it's that, like, listen, I'm not saying that there aren't very important things that need to happen where they're like, hey, don't wait on this. But we have heard insane stories where there was genuine structural issues, like Jake Mulbeck's house out in Chatham County, where it was unsafe for him to live in. And he still lived in it for a little while. It didn't collapse in on them. Like, obviously, eventually he had to make that decision. But I say this because the urgency is not a real thing in construction. Some things are very urgent. But even in Jake Mulbeck's case, where they were like, could your house collapse on you this week? Probably not. Like, what? Even in that case, there wasn't some catastrophic failure. So giving yourself 24 or 48 hours to think about and spend time with decisions is really important. And this, in the case where this guy was putting pressure on me, I was like, listen, this isn't how I work. I take time. I sit with the decisions before I make them. And if you're not okay with that, like, you might as well just leave. And it stopped him. It almost interrupted his spiel. He was like, oh, I was like, it's just not how I work. Absolutely not. So I won't be making a decision today. If you're here still because you think that more words,
all the words
like this, just throwing them at me, and urgency and nonsense and shenanigans is going to get me to make a decision, it's not. It's only going to make me more mad, and then I'm going to stick prime on you. And he's hungry. He's on a diet.
He's not going to attack anybody. He's going to see the person and
like,
hide in the corner.
God, but he might scare you. I don't know. I don't know if
he is scary.
I don't know if
especially when he barks.
Oh yeah, Prime barks with his soul. Like he barks like the ancestors are yelling in his head. Like he's just letting it out. He's also 200 pounds. He's a big boy. So here's the thing. The story is scary because it looks normal at first. And that's the lesson. The biggest risks don't look like scams. They look like real businesses. And when you take the time to follow the steps of checking into their licensing, checking into how many companies they have under their name, really researching who's their qualifier, not letting them push you into making decisions rapidly, not falling for the I'm paying a 50% deposit. Because here's the thing, right? Especially on the deposit thing, if you run in scams and somebody says, no, I'm not going to give you 50%, they're going to walk. And that's the best thing that could happen to you. If they don't have the money to run your job, it's not going to go well.
Yeah.
It's like you have to have, like, I think one of the contractors that came on the show once said, homeowners need to have skin in the game. And that will live rent free just right here for the rest of my life. Because I'm like, homeowners need to have skin. It's their house.
We have all the skin in the game.
They have all the skin. You have zero skins. They have all the skins in the game. The game is full of their skins. What are you talking about right now? Like, they have to have skin in the game. It's where they live.
Yeah.
That's outrageous. So this, like, listen, I'm not saying that there aren't upfront costs. Of course there are. You should pay a deposit of no more than 20%. And if a general contractor says, then we're not going to work with you, bye. Bye.
There's the door.
This is like a swimming motion. I don't know what I'm doing, but it felt good. And I like the sound my rings are making. Okay. There you go. Little ASMR moment for
I
me.
know. It's a little bit.
So listen, we want to hear from you. If you have had a story like a wild in these streets, or a mildly wild in these streets, or a blood pressure inducing where like the vein in your forehead just pops, we want to know about it. And why do we want to know? Because we want to share your story so other people don't have to learn the hard way. Because what is learning the hard way? It's overrated. So, chicksinconstruction.com is where you can share your homeowner horror stories with us. It's just on the front page. You scroll down a little bit, you can share your little story. We'll keep you anonymous because as much as I would like to name names, Jess is having none of it.
None of it.
None of it.
None of it.
She's like, we are not being sued. And I'm like, that's probably my legal bills are mounting. No, I'm just kidding. Well, they kind of are mounting. I'm the whole problem. These are facts. So, Jess, where can they find us on the socials?
So on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Instagram is at Chicks in Construction Podcast. On TikTok is at Chicks in Construction.
Wonderful, guys. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.